guys, HDvee here and welcome back to another video. Today's video is another opinion video and we're going to be taking a look at the Pokemon champions. Yes, I'm going to be giving my personal opinion on every single champion throughout the whole of the games. Now of course, this is all my own opinion at the end of the day. It's not going to hurt you if you disagree with me. But of course, if you have your own opinions about the champions, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Also, leave in the comment section down below any other Pokemon topics you'd like to see me give my opinions on. If you're excited for today's video, be sure to drop a thumbs up down below. It really does help out. And of course, subscribe as well if you're brand new because I do daily Pokemon content on this here channel. With all of that out of the way though, let's get into the video and take a look at the Pokemon champions and what I think of them. So starting things off, we of course have Blue, the first champion. Now I'm not going to do remakes and stuff with like Fire Red, Leaf Green and Heart Gold and Soul Silver because the teams are pretty much the same. I'm just going to go through each actual different champion. So for Kanto, there's Blue and then there's Trace as well, being in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and of course Blue is the champion in Red and Blue. Anyway, Blue has got a powerful team. He's got his Pidgeot, he's got his Alakazam, he's got his Rhydon, he's got his Executor, his Gyarados, and then his Charizard or his Venusaur, his Blastoise, depending on whatever you picked. Now, this team was pretty difficult to get past, to be fair. Gen 1 was kind of broke in the way that if the Pokemon was faster than you and it had like a move like Slash, then you were probably going to get critted like every single time, and that was horrible. Luckily, I don't think Gary's team really had that apart from his Charizard having Slash. But either way, this was a very, very difficult champion to beat. I definitely tried a few times in my young age of beating this champion, but I finally prevailed. I finally beat him, and it was probably one of the greatest days of my life. You know, I was finally a Pokemon master. I was the champion of Kanto. And then, of course, I became the champion of 150 times after that, but it's fine. The first victory is always the sweetest. All in all, though, Blue was a really cool champion, and out of 10, I'd give him a strong 8. He's definitely one of my favorite rivals still, just because he actually wanted to beat you, and he wasn't just some pushover, you know, he actually stood up for himself. So that's why I did really like Blue, but as just a champion, he was really, really good. Next up, we have Trace, the other Kanto champion. In the recent games, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now, Trace's team was, of course, filled up with a Mega Pidgeot, a Vileplume, a Marowak, a Rapidash, a Slowbro, and then Raichu or Jolteon, depending on what version you had. Now, this team was good. The only problem is it didn't have like a bunch of variety. I mean, there was a couple Pokemon in Kanto that could literally just walk over this team. The Mega Pidgeot was really cool, but of course, if you had Let's Go Pikachu, you could pretty much just one-shot that with any of Pikachu's moves, which is exactly what I did. And then obviously, Pikachu can take out the Slowbro, it can take out the Vileplume with Floaty Fall, it can take out the Marowak with Splishy Splash, it can take out the Rapidash with Splishy Splash, and then Raichu, or well, Jolteon is the only problem you're going to have. So this team literally got destroyed by your starter Pikachu, which is how I kind of destroyed this champion. All in all, this champion wasn't that difficult at all because, like I say, you can defeat him with your starter Pokemon. So I'm going to give him about a 6 out of 10. It wasn't the best rival either, but yeah, all in all, this champion wasn't that good in my opinion. Coming up next, we have the Johto champion being Lance. Now, Lance was a really cool dude, having his Gyarados, his Dragonites, his Aerodactyl, his Charizard. You know, he had a really, really good team. He also had Dragonites lower leveled than 55, which obviously broke the game because you had to be level 55 to evolve your Dragonair into a Dragonite. So Lance was, of course, a hacker, which was great, and you had to take on like 2 or 3 of those Dragonites as well, so that wasn't great. But yeah, his Dragon team was really cool. Of course, being the 4th member of the Elite Four in Kanto before becoming the champion in Johto. I am a really big fan of Lance. I think he was a really cool champion, and I loved his team. Like, having dragons, they were really difficult to beat, especially having like pseudo-legendaries and like 3 of them as well. Of course, Gyarados was pretty easy to get by. You just had to hit him with a Thunder Shock and he'd pretty much be dead. But of course, Dragonite weren't going to stand for that. So all in all, this was a really good champion. I'll give him a solid 8 out of 10. Definitely struggled with this in Gold and Silver and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But yeah, all in all, really good champion in my opinion. Coming up next, we have Ruby and Sapphire's champion, Mr. Steven Stone, the Steel type trainer. That was difficult to say. Alliteration when you're talking about this guy. Anyway, his team consisted of Skarmory, oh my lord, there's so many S's, Claydol, Aggron, Cradily, Armaldo, and Metagross. His Metagross was extremely painful in Auras being a Mega Metagross. Now, this team was obviously absolute power. This thing destroyed teams. Of course, Steel type is one of the best types in the game. It's not really weak to many things. It's resistant to a lot of things, and of course, it's also immune to poison. So you could not Toxic Stall this team at all, which was a way of getting through a lot of champions for a lot of people. Toxic was just kind of the trump card that a lot of people used. But all in all, this was a very, very difficult champion to beat. I definitely struggled on Steven a lot. I think I probably tried about 4 or 5 times before I beat him, when I was going through my first ever playthrough of Ruby and Sapphire. I just remember his Metagross being a huge problem, and also his Cradily as well. I just never really had anything for Cradily at all. I never really had anything that was strong against it, and it just was really annoying with like Confuse Ray and Giga Drain and Ancient Power. I used to get the boosts all the time, and then, oh my lord, then he just had a Hyper Beam and Metagross in the back if you needed to get any worse. And then of course his Aggron was like Earthquake and Dragon Claw and Solar Beam and Thunder. It was just, his team was absolutely powered. Like, this was a difficult champion to beat. So I, all in all, really like Steven. I definitely rate him as a good champion. I'll give him a solid 9 out of 10. He was a very difficult champion to beat. Even though his team consisted of like 1 or 2 types, they were really difficult to beat. So that is why I do believe Steven was a really good champion in Ruby and Sapphire. Coming up next, we have Wallace, the champion of Pokemon Emerald, the 3rd installment of the Generation 3 games, coming through with his water team of Wailord, Tentacruel, Ludicolo, Whiscash, Gyarados, and Milotic. And I remember, for some reason, I really struggled on this champion. I don't know why. I think it was maybe his Toxicking Milotic or his Gyarados with Dragon Dance. Either way, this was a very difficult team to beat, because he had like, of course, he had his Milotic with Toxic, but he also had his Tentacruel with Toxic as well. And then he had his Wailord with like Blizzard, and then he had his Ludicolo with Leech Seed. It's just a very stally team. And obviously, if he settled with his Whiscash or his Gyarados, it was not great at all. So I definitely remember losing to Emerald's champion a lot. I think all in all, I just thought it was pretty difficult to get past either Ruby and Sapphire or Emerald's champions. Both were very difficult to beat. And to this day, they're still quite difficult. I mean, they were very good, you know, back in the day. Pokemon games were actually difficult. And I really hope that Gen 8 is just as difficult, because I like having a challenging challenge. I like having a challenging champion. I mean, it just makes the victory much better if you actually earned it instead of just sweeping his team with 1 Pokemon. So all in all, I would rate Wallace a 9 out of 10 as well, just personally because I struggled on this guy as well. I should have gone in with a bunch of electric types, but I wasn't smart when I was a kid. Plus his Whiscash was immune to electric anyway, so if you didn't have a grass type, you couldn't really get past that. So yeah, all in all, really good champion. Coming up next, we have, Cynthia, the Generation 4 champion. Oh, everybody knows about Cynthia. Probably the best champion so far, or either way it is in my opinion. Cynthia coming through with her Spiritomb, her Roserade, her Gastrodon, her Lucario, Milotic, and Garchomp. What an absolute powerhouse of a team. I straight up just give Cynthia a 10 out of 10. Easily the best champion so far. I mean, she was difficult. She had Pseudo Legendary, then she had Milotic that hit like heck with a Miracle and everything like that. Then, oh my lord, a Lucario with like Dragon Pulse, Earthquake, Psychic, Aura Sphere, being a physical and special attacker, that was so clutch for Cynthia. Then a Gastron, which would just not die, then a Roserade was annoying, and then, of course, back in those games, Spiritomb had no weaknesses because Fairy was not available in Generation 4, so he couldn't even do anything against that super effective-wise. He literally just had to constantly butch at it, and then obviously I had Silverwinds to get the boost from that. But yeah, all in all, Spiritomb was just so annoying just to get past that. I think I lost like 2 Pokemon every time before I even got past Spiritomb. So all in all, a very difficult champion, and I know a lot of people will agree with me when I do say that. Coming up next, we have Black and White's champion Alder. Now, Alder's team consisted of Excelgor, his Buffalon, his Druddigon, his Volcarona, Excavalier, and Vanillux. Now, Black and White was always a weird game because I know when you went to take on the champion, obviously you had to sort out the evil team and everything like that. So there was a lot of different battles going on with N and everything. So it was always a difficult one. But yeah, Alder was an okay champion. I mean, I didn't really find him any difficult at all because my team was kind of broken by that stage. I had more struggling on N and Guesses and everything like that than I did with Alder. Plus the Alder levels were like through the roof by the time you battled him with like level 70s and stuff. So that was always fun. But yeah, all in all, I'd probably rate him like a 7, 8 out of 10. He wasn't the best champion, but still gave me a little bit of a trouble with his Volcarona, with Overheat and Quiver Dance. That was always a little bit annoying, but apart from that, didn't really have anything too threatening, just had some pretty good Gen 5 months. So yeah, all in all, a pretty decent champion, but definitely not the best by a long stretch. Coming up next, we have Black 2 and White 2's champion, Iris, coming through with a Hydreigon, her Druddigon, her Arceus, her Aggron, her Lapras, and her Haxorus. So obviously having a pseudo legendary straight off the bat with Hydreigon, that was really annoying. I mean, Arceus wasn't a huge problem because of Defeatist. That was a pretty good ability going against because it just halved its attack and speed, I do believe. But obviously the Haxorus was a problem, the Aggron was a problem, the Lapras singing it to sleep every 2 seconds it got was a problem, and obviously Dragon Dance on the Haxorus was also annoying as well. But I definitely rate Iris higher than Alder. I would probably rate Iris as an 8 out of 10. I'd probably say Alder's a 7, and then Iris is probably probably an 8 out of 10. I think she was just a better champion overall than Alder, and I would definitely rate her higher than him. Yeah, all in all, a pretty good team. Definitely enjoyed taking on her, but again, not my favorite champion by a long stretch, but definitely not the worst either. Coming up next, we have Generation 6's champion being Diantha, coming through with her Hawlucha, her Tyrantrum, her Aurorus, her Gourgeist, her Goodra, and of course her Mega Gardevoir. Now, this was the first time we ever found a Mega Evolution in the champion battle, because obviously Generation 6 was when Mega Evolutions came out, being in X and Y. So having a Mega Gardevoir and a pseudo-legendary as well, being Goodra, plus the fossils, and then Gourgeist was annoying, and then of course Hawlucha with Swords Dance was also a pain. I actually rate Diantha as one of the best champions going. Her team was very, very well stacked. A very, very good team. Like I say, Pseudo and a Mega Evolution, like, that's going to get you somewhere. So all in all, I definitely rate her as about a 9 out of 10. I think she was definitely difficult. I definitely struggled on her. Of course, we were allowed our own Mega Evolution, but first time I battled her, I didn't really know what her team was going to be, because I didn't actually do Pokemon YouTubing then. I literally just played the games for fun. I mean, I still do now anyway, but of course it's a job. But then I didn't really know what her team was. I didn't really research any of it because I didn't want it to be spoiled. So I don't think I beat her the first time I played her. I think our Mega Gardevoir literally destroyed me. I didn't really have a team to combat it, so that was never great. And then the Goodra was also annoying as well, with like Dragon Pulse, Fire Blast, Muddy Water. Always difficult. So yeah, all in all, I rate Diantha very highly on the champions list. Give her a strong 9 out of 10. She did a good job. You did good, kid. Next up, we have Professor Kukui from Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Now, he had a Lycanroc, a Ninetales, a Alolan form. He had a Braviary, a Magnezone, a Snorlax, and then Incineroar, or of course, depending on whatever start you picked, he would have the Decidueye or the Primarina. It depends what you picked anyway. All in all, pretty good champion. I didn't really struggle with it. The Z-move was annoying on the starts Pokemon that he had. And the Lycanroc was always annoying as well, getting Stealth Rocks up at the start of the battle. That was always a pain. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a really difficult champion battle. I mean, it was always interesting to see that Kukui was obviously the champion, because a lot of people would be expecting Hao was the champion. But no, Kukui was the champion in Sun and Moon, and it was alright. I'd give him an 8 out of 10. His team was kind of a little bit strategic with the Stealth Rocks at the start, and then of course the Z-move. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest, so it was an alright champion for my personal opinion. So finishing things off, we do have Hao being the champion of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. His team consisting of Alolan Raichu, Flareon, Tauros, Noivern, Crabominable, and either Primarina or Incineroar or Decidueye, depending on whatever you pick. Now again, this was a little bit more difficult than Kukui. I don't know why, I just felt it was a little bit more difficult. Personally, I just struggled on it a little bit more than I did on Kukui. The only weird thing is, though, the starter Pokemon that he picked only had 3 moves. That was a little bit annoying. I wish it had 4. But yeah, he just had like a powerhouse of a team. And Noivern was always annoying. He had his Flare Blitzing, Flareon. You know, he had a lot of hard hitters. He had Tauros with Intimidate for your physical attackers. But yeah, I mean, if Crabominable got off an attack with his Iron Fist, he had like Power Punch and Dizzy Punch and stuff for that. That was always annoying. But yeah, I'd probably give him about a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 maybe. Probably just on par with Kukui, actually. I don't know. It's difficult remembering everything that I struggled with and didn't struggle with. But I don't think I had a huge problem with Hao or Kukui. I think it was just generally just take them on and then beat him first time. All in all, though, they are all the champions, and they are my opinions on all the champions. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to drop a like down below. Again, leave a comment with your opinions on each champion, and of course, any other Pokemon topics you'd like me to give my opinion on. Subscribe as well if you're brand new, because I do daily Pokemon content on this here channel. That is everything from me, though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day, and until next time, peace.